This is a Hollywood Outsider, a weekly entertainment podcast where this week we're going to look at the only release, which is The Hobbit. Spoiler-free reviews of The Collection and The Bay are from the Outside In topic this week. Is a modern movie star dead? Not literally, but figuratively. Latest in movie and TV news included our own trivia and flashback DVD segments. My name is Aaron Peterson, and with me today are my fellow host, Scott Clark.
Hey, what's up, brother?
A lot. Justin McCumber, author.
Hello.
Justin R. McCumber, I'm sorry.
Yes, please. I need all the honorifics you can possibly shove in before my name. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Esquire. Brian Williams.
I'm not shoving anything in before his name.
Wow. How's everybody doing?
Fan-fucking-tastic.
That's very exciting. Is your book out yet?
2 more weeks, bitch.
Minor Magic, right?
A minor magic, yes, indeed.
Okay. Well, you're very particular about that A. Is that important?
Well, people keep wanting to fucking drop it.
Maybe it wasn't important.
It is a minor magic. Minor magic is stupid. That doesn't mean shit. A minor magic. Now that's everything.
Minor magic sounds like a bunch of coal miners that cast spells and stuff.
See,
Exactly, right?
Well, I know Aaron's pre-ordered the book because he's all about some magic with some minors. Just saying.
Oh, wow. A couple things before we get into movie news. A Christmas vacation screening is happening. There are still some tickets available. I think there's like 50 left or something. So go to the website, thehollywoodoutsiders.com, if you live in the Rockford, Chicago area and you want to see Christmas Vacation on the big screen.
Have you extended an invitation to Randy Quaid?
He was unavailable. I hear he's in prison. But I sent it to his brother because he's awesome.
I'm afraid if his brother actually showed up, it would just turn into a porn because you would be like, oh.
I would have to leave the room.
Oh, God, you would.
I would make everybody leave the room. We're like, it's me and Dennis Quaid. We're going to watch this together. That's just how it goes.
We're going to do this in front of your brother.
That's right.
This is going to happen.
Yeah.
You remember Interspace?
Yeah, the only thing you'd be watching is his belly button.
Our Christmas story poll, if you listen to last week's show, Justin and I got into a little tangent about if Christmas Story sucks or not. And apparently, overwhelmingly, people would like to say that A Christmas Story is a classic. Brian and I would like to stick to our theory that it is not. So
It wasn't quite 95%. It was closer to 80%.
It was like 83%. We took a real scientific poll, which is we made everybody say if they liked it or not.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah. 83%. Not 95%, Justin. 83%.
It's just the brainwashed masses. That's all.
It's enough.
It is. And honestly, all of them thought, well, it's on TBS 24 hours a day. It must be good. That's honestly what I think it is. That's what I'm going with.
I'm not arguing. I ain't arguing with you this time.
Don't do it. Don't get drawn in. Don't get drawn in. And last thing is I got a message from a listener that said directly to me, because apparently it's important that I'm clear on this, that I pick on Scott too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I want to say, fuck you, Scott. I don't care. And also, no, he said that we pick on Scott too much, but also that I in particular. And I just want to say, suck it up. I don't know. That's your lot in life.
That's it.
Watch more movies.
What's he, C-3PO? Suffering is our lot in life.
All right, we got that out of the way. So let's go to movie news. Guillermo del Toro is helming...
Oh, Jesus. Hey, Guillermo.
Guillermo del Toro is helming Crimson Peak, its modern take on a ghost story, as his next film, as well as he has already been tapped to write a sequel to Pacific Rim, next year's sci-fi opus, before it's even released. The movie hasn't even come out yet, and he's already writing a sequel.
Well, that's, unfortunately, that's the state of Hollywood. You've got to move as quickly as you can, because with these sorts of movies like Pacific Rim that are so special effects intensive, it takes forever and a day to get these films rolling and get everything done. So the sooner you can get stuff in, concrete, get things signed and approved and people rolling, then the quicker they can get these things out. I can't imagine that Pacific Rim is going to be anything less than stunning. I trust Guillermo del Toro to know exactly what he's doing. It's got fucking Godzilla-type creatures being fought by giant robots, driven by jocks like Jack Teller from Sons of Anarchy. It's going to be really cool. I can't imagine that the people in charge are not also in agreement, and that's why they're wanting to get work on the next one rolling as quickly as possible. But, Guillermo del Toro has got a lot on his plate. He's been wanting to do this Lovecraft movie for a long time in the Mountains of Madness that I would love to see, and he still has not been able to get to that one. But he is doing this new movie called Crimson Peak. He's doing it with Legendary Pictures, who's also doing Pacific Rim. It's a haunted house type of film. He really hasn't given too many details other than to say that he wants to kind of go back to the older style of horror movies. He doesn't want to do the found footage type of movies. He wants to take horror back to kind of what it used to be. And so he's really drawn on things like The Haunting, The Innocents, The Omen, The Shining. All those sorts of films are really going to be inspiring this new one that he's doing, Crimson Peak. I'm curious to see it, and I really cannot wait to see a trailer for Pacific Rim. It's just one of those films that has everything in it that I could possibly want in a geektastic film.
I really like anything that he writes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really gifted writer. If you ever read his novels, they're very fucked up, but good.
Yeah, and again, that's another thing on his plate. Him and Chuck Hogan writing the pilot episode for The Strain, the TV show based on his books, and he may even direct the first episode or something of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that dude is busy.
Yeah, he's busy as hell. If I could just get him to team with my Russian director man crush, that Timur Bekmambetov, then make a comic book movie with that guy, I would die a happy man.
That's all it would take. Chronicles Dane DeHaan was cast as Harry Osborn. It's official. He's cast as Harry Osborn in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And also, Jamie Foxx is confirmed. He's going to be playing Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah,
Dale DeHaan was the troubled kid in Chronicle movies. So just in case anybody out there doesn't really know which one was which one he was, I guess he was the one that was he had the hardest time dealing with his powers. So he's kind of got the troubled guy down pat, especially if they go with a kind of the storyline that they did in the comic books where Harry Osborn was pretty troubled. I mean, he got involved with drugs, stuff like that. So he had, like I said, he had some pretty big issues in the comic books. I kind of hope they go that route, because everybody just the last trilogy was just everybody was just a little too happy.
You want more sadness?
Fucking Harry Osborn was mostly just a whiny bitch.
He was. That would be the one thing I didn't like about the original trilogy is the most is James Franco. James Franco was fine. It's just the way the character was written made him really kind of a whiny ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I do like Jamie Foxx as Electro. I don't know. I don't even remember if Jamie Foxx has actually played a villain.
That's what I was going to say. He's too happy.
But Electro was kind of nutty in the comic books, and Jamie Foxx can definitely pull that off. So I think that's actually a pretty good cast.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Jamie Foxx. I like when actors like that are given something to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's not somebody that overacts. I mean, he's very reserved and very thorough. So I think he'd be a very, very interesting choice. Seth MacFarlane. I'm not a fan of his, but everybody else is, so I must be wrong. But Seth MacFarlane is set to next direct. What's that?
You're used to it.
Yeah, I am. He's set to direct and star in the Blazing Saddles-inspired Western comedy A Million Ways to Die in the West before he moves on to his Ted sequel.
When I read this and they say Blazing Saddles, that's some pretty big shoes to fill as far as pushing the envelope for.
Well, they're inspired. It's not really just that kind of comedy.
Right, but when you say Blazing Saddles inspired, I mean, what that movie did is just try to put in as the most offensive stuff as possible into one 2-hour movie. And if anyone's going to do it, Seth MacFarlane is. But you got a lot. I mean, especially for the time that movie came out, you can't watch that movie. Does not work today.
I disagree with you on that.
Really?
I think Blazing Saddles.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Still.
I get what Scott means. It's still funny. But there is no way in fuck you could put a comedy in theaters today with the N-word used as many times and as many ways as it was used in Blazing Saddles.
Not to mention
you would have theaters burned the fuck down.
Not to mention they use rape of women in comedic fashion. I mean, that's
you
not
said
gonna
rape
fly.
twice. Well, I like rape.
I like rape.
I mean, I don't know. What I like about it is that Seth MacFarlane is actually going to star in this movie as opposed to just providing voice, like he did for Family Guy and Ted. I'm interested to see what he can do actually on the screen acting, not hosting an award show.
in a couple of ways, he really is kind of like today's Mel Brooks, just in the way that his brand of humor is racy, it's uncomfortable, but yet it's delayed. It's relayed in kind of a comical way without really pissing anybody off, which is kind of a pretty good accomplishment.
How is he not pissing anybody off?
No, he
Even
still
with
pisses
Family Guy.
people off. What I want to do is because I'm not a fan of Family Guy, so really that's the majority of what I know about him. I've seen him in award shows. I don't think he's that funny on roasts and stuff. But I want to watch Ted because I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I kind of want to reserve my opinion until I see that, if that's fair.
Sure. You're gonna hate it.
Yeah, whatever.
Probably.
You're gonna take the bitch way out.
What's the bitch way? Okay, I don't want to see it. I don't like him. I don't think he's funny. I think he tries so hard to jam a joke down your throat. It's not funny.
Then
to me.
don't see it.
Well, but I want to see Ted because everybody raves about it, so I want to give it a shot.
But you're really not going to give it a shot.
I will give it a shot. I'm pretty fair about stuff like that. I don't like Family Guy because it's the same thing every episode. Like if I watch one episode a year, that episode's funny. If I watch more than one episode, I'm like, God, it's like just trying the same kind of joke over and over and over and over and over. It's not funny.
So Psych is
no. You will shut your
Psych
fucking
is not doing
mouth.
the same thing every episode.
No, it isn't. Absolutely
really?
not.
With all their pop culture references and everything every week?
No, it's different kinds of jokes, man, and it's
because
funny.
you like it.
Yeah, because it's good. You will shut your whore mouth. We could do fine with 3 hosts. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I've been telling you for a while, Scotty.
Well, 2.5.
Wow.
I was going to say we've been doing fine without Scotty for quite a while now.
Poor guy. Go ahead and write me again. We're so hard on Scott.
Aaron makes me do it.
Yes, it's in the contract. Time Magazine.
There's a contract?
Now, I want everybody to get prepared because Justin might be going for a minute.
You're not getting paid, Scott? I mean,
No.
how do you think me and Justin are still living the slacker lifestyle?
Don't say nothing, bro.
Time Magazine.
comment-
Shh, everybody be quiet because this is Justin's moment. Time Magazine named Cloud Atlas the worst movie of 2012 with John Carter, number 2. Justin, please tell us your thoughts.
I've been waiting.
But it would be really easy for me to rant and rave because that's what everybody expects. Because I'm volatile. Really, all this is nothing more than Time Magazine trying to grab some clicks on the internet to try and rile up some people and to make a little news. To say that Cloud Atlas is the worst movie of the year in a year that contains such filmatic gems, The Wrath of the Titans, That's My Boy, The Three Fucking Stooges, Medea's Witness Protection, Red Dawn, to say that those movies are somehow better than Cloud Atlas is fucking retarded. It is ignorant, and to say that those are even worse than John Carter, no. All this is an apparent grab for clicks and attention, nothing more. People cannot like these movies all they like. I know plenty of people who don't. But to say that they are worse, to make that kind of qualitative judgment is ridiculous. And as far as I'm concerned, they can take that list, they can wipe it on their ass, and they can just chunk it out because it's ridiculous, it's transparent, and fuck them for trying to make news at the expense of people who work their ass off to make fantastic films.
Well,
You can say shit about Medea all you want, because it's pretty apparent that he's just making a film for people to like. He ain't putting his heart into it. You can say the same thing about fucking American Reunion. That was just nothing but a cash grab off of Old Glory. Those people ain't working nearly as hard as the people who worked on these movies did. And to shit on all their efforts just because you want to get a couple extra clicks on the internet, suck my balls.
Well,
Fuck them.
I don't think that part.
mad.
I don't think that part's fair. I think everybody worked just as hard on those movies.
I'm sure they worked hard, but have you seen these films? And if you've seen
I
them,
reviewed
then you
them
know
both,
the
yes.
effort that went into putting these movies together. And it was a hell of a lot more than a couple of dipshits sitting around a lake for American Reunion. I guarantee you.
I absolutely agree with you. Well, to an degree. I don't think they're fantastic. I like John Carter more than I like Cloud Atlas, but they're good. They're good.
Doesn't that list have something to do with how much they made versus how much they cost?
No,
they're just
they're
straight up
worse.
saying that they're worse movies in quality.
That's a big statement to make, because I don't think. I mean, Justin and I. Granted, when Justin loves something, he loves it, and when he hates something, he fucking hates it. I liked both of these. I thought John Carter was actually really good. Cloud Atlas was it had a great concept, and I liked most of the execution. But, go listen to the reviews if you want to hear all of it. But they're definitely nowhere near the worst. That's just ridiculous.
Here comes the boom. In Time Magazine's view, is somehow a better movie than Cloud Atlas and John Carter. I just watched John Carter again the other night, fell in love with it all over again. The fucking watch is better.
Well,
yeah, whatever.
That was
Fuck
actually
you, Time Magazine, and your fucking list.
Who reads Time Magazine anymore anyway?
Apparently idiots, because that's who's making it.
I don't think many read it. That honestly,
Who reads magazines, really?
yeah. What's a magazine?
Well, it's just a click. He said.
Well, maybe this is why they're making this list. Nobody's reading our shit, so let's go ahead and make a list that's going to get some clicks, get some attention.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. Not just because I want to hear Justin's tangent, but also, I mean, when you look at these kind of things, granted, every year there's always the best and worst list, but this worst list just seems silly to me because and this is a respected magazine. This isn't, it's not like Joe Bob's Internet Cafe. It's Time freaking Magazine, and it picks Cloud Atlas and John Carter as the number 1 and 2 worst movies, and I don't understand it. I just normally I can see why they would arrive at that. This time it makes no sense because these aren't awful.
It actually makes perfect sense, and I'll explain it to you real simply here. They're just jealous that the Hollywood Outsider is getting more traffic than Time.com or TimeMagazine.com, whatever it is. So they know how we are, and we'll, blast them for it. So therefore, it will direct more traffic to them. So it's all about clicks and all that stuff, and Google Trends and all that, what have you. So
I read Time Magazine's review of Cloud Atlas in preparation for this. It wasn't a bad review. I mean, they didn't think that the film succeeded in the way that it needed to, but that review was not a review that would go to the worst movie of the year.
Did you read the review of Three Stooges?
No, I did not.
That'd be interesting.
I don't have to read that fucking review.
Was the person that did the review the same person that did the worst movie list?
That I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm sure the worst list was probably put together by a group of people.
Monkeys, in your opinion?
Jackasses. Retarded jackasses.
All right, let's stop by the home meal real quick before we end up on this for the rest of the night.
I don't know how to follow that, man. That's rough.
Be entertaining, brother.
All right, we all like movie news, but every once in a while something's worth mentioning, even if it isn't completely confirmed or might be just an informed rumor. This week we've got Latino Review is reporting that the Justice League villain is going to be the character Darkseid. Now, I know very little about any of the characters from the comic books, but I know Brian is one of the experts here in the group. So, Brian, are you excited about this character?
I've never been a fan of Darkseid. I just kind of thought he was kind of an odd villain. He just was kind of out there causing Superman troubles. So, but I get it. I understand he really is one of the larger villains in the DC universe. So there are some comparisons, as few as they may be. There's really some sort of comparisons here between him and even Thanos in the Marvel universe. So I get it. Not really a big fan of it, but you do have to have a larger figure than say just a Batman or Superman, to where all these characters have to join forces and tackle this guy to defeat him. So I get it. I'm not excited about it, but there is some pretty good potential there.
What's the reasoning for the weird spelling of Darkseid? Is there
It's a comic book, and they just have to make it a little bit different. There's really no other explanation for it, and none needed. But Brian's right that you can't have the Justice League going up against the Joker.
Or
that
Lex
level,
Luthor, right.
That level of villain is not going to succeed. You have to bring someone a little bit bigger. And Darkseid is a huge villain in the DC universe. I think the only way you get bigger is if you go with like something like the Beyonder or something, or the Anti-Monitor. But my real concern though, is the comparisons that people are going to draw between Darkseid and Thanos, because they do have they're not identical at all, but they have some similarities in their appearance. The dark skin, the large stature, the armor, and all that. I mean, you could say one was probably heavily influenced by the other. I think Darkseid probably came first, but either way, now having two superhero teams battling a major villain, both of which look similar, might cause some people to frown a little bit at Darkseid, because they'll feel like, well, the Avengers did it first, but who knows? He is a big villain, though, so that's not a bad pick.
And I'll bet they'll have some other classic villains in there, too, at some point, to some degree. Maybe not the major villain, but they'll have him in there at somewhere.
Welcome to Brian's Trailer Park. All right, well, here's a little tip to all the ladies out there. If you're ever on a girls' weekend and you end up on a remote island with three strange guys who just popped out of nowhere, immediately turn around, go home, and spend a weekend watching a Twilight marathon instead. I think Kate Bosworth and her friends would probably agree after their experiences in our first film, Black Rock. So basically the plot is three girlfriends get together for a little reunion. They go to a little childhood vacation spot, which is this remote island. And while they're there, they come across, amazingly, just coincidentally, three hunters. Everybody kind of seems cool at first. The hunters turn into assholes, and basically the girls have to fight for survival to escape the island. Now, while this looks like kind of a Netflix movie for me personally, I know Aaron loves it when a group of sweaty guys in flannel chases him around through the woods. So does this satiate your man-pecking urges there, Aaron?
Man-pecking.
The thing I like best about the trailer is when they show the island, doesn't it look like it's about the size of a house? I mean, it's a very small-looking island. I don't know how they stay hidden, but whatever. I kind of like the trailer for a little bit until, because obviously an incident happens and it seems like one of the girls went a little too far with the guy, and then she tried to push him off, and then they end up scuffling. So then the other guys end up angry, and they want to chase her down and kill all of them, apparently. Because men can't take rejection so much, they want all the women dead to say no.
Well, exactly. I know whenever, a woman rejects a buddy of mine, it really makes me upset.
Yeah. I always want to bond with my friends and say, kill her. Because that's what guys do. This is gonna help our dating skills. I thought the trailer was okay. I was into it a little bit. It looked a little bit too much like a DVD kind of thriller.
Yeah.
And then the very end, there's the last shot is some kind of female girl power bullshit.
That's exactly what
and that lost me. As soon as that happened, I'm like, done. No interest now. I had some interest. Done. I don't care anymore.
I got halfway through the trailer, and I'm like, where do I recognize that girl from? Obviously, Kate Bosworth is real recognizable. It was what's her name? Katie Asselton? I don't know how to pronounce it. She's the girl from The League. I've never seen her in a serious role before. That's the only thing that made me kind of want to see how she does in a serious role. But the girl power thing just really turns me off on it. I don't even know if I want to see it on DVD.
All right. Well, Black Rock opens May 17th, 2013, which is kind of right in the middle of a potentially epic blockbuster summer. So not really got very high expectations for this one.
Yeah.
Next up, Clara Frey's mother has been kidnapped, but instead of a serial killer or a clandestine government agency snatching her, this kidnapping was done by a demon. Based on the best-selling young adult urban fantasy series, The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, Clara... Bones and colon. Anyway. Clara witnesses a murder in a nightclub, but is apparently the only one who saw it happen. And this is her first encounter with the Shadow Hunters, who hunt demons. But once they come after Clara, the Shadow Hunters wonder about her as much as she is wondering about them. Even though this is directed towards girls, this might have to satisfy my want for more Constantine movies or Constantine-type movies, kind of for the time being. So what about you, Justin? I know you like Constantine and stuff, so what do you think about it?
I'm so torn because, well, first off, it's based on a book, and it's a YA book, and I'm always kind of torn with YA books because on the one hand, I love that it's getting kids to read more, and I'm all for that, but on the other hand, really what they're reading are quite oftentimes just kind of tired retreads of books that already did it and did it better. And sometimes I wish these kids would read the books that inspire these things as opposed to the weaker knockoffs. So when I see a trailer for a movie like this and I start seeing the build-up and they're talking about all the things, you've ever heard about, the darkness and the things in it and the monsters, they're real. Well, yeah, I know, because I've heard that in I don't know how many movies and how many TV shows and how many books. This film looks as derivative of just about every other film that has already done the I've discovered the other side of the wall kind of thing. It's kind of boring and a little cliched. This bores me, honestly. And I'm kind of tired of Hollywood. One film makes a bit of money in the YA section. And so now all the studios, until they want to buy a Mind Magic, and please, you guys, come to me. We'll sell you the rights. But hopefully the story I wrote isn't nearly as derivative as these sorts of stories are. I've seen it done. It looks good, though. I mean, they certainly didn't skimp on the special effects, the cinematography. The actors look okay. Some of them look a little, I just stepped off the CW a lot, but I don't know. It's a little early, but I have to say I'm not starting off with a great deal of anticipation.
Even the music from the trailer is ripped off. That song has been used to death in every...
This should have got Kanye's power.
That makes everything better. I actually think it looks okay. I mean, I know it's based on a young adult series, but I'm watching the trailer, and it does have a little bit of a Constantine/Twilighty vibe. But I kind of got into it. I mean, I'm interested to see exactly what they're going to do with it. And once they get a longer, I think this one's a little under 2-minute trailer. Once they get a full-length trailer and actually show more of the full movie, I'll reserve my opinion a little bit more toward them. But it looks okay. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. How's that?
I agree with you. It does really look kind of a CW-ish, but also I kind of do like the fact that they did spend a little bit more money and have some good special effects with this. I'm really kind of torn. I want to see it, but I know that it is based on, like say, a YA book. So I've got some reservations about that. But hopefully, if this is a huge hit, they set everything up with this one, and then for whatever sequels are to follow, maybe they'll really kind of step up their game with that. But anyway, this one won't be out until August 23rd, 2013, so there is a little bit of time to wait for it. So if there's anything you want us to opine about, send us an email at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com. You can reach us a few other ways also. Our Twitter handle is @H_outsider, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thehollywoodoutsider, where you can post comments, questions, and get some interesting news bits that we post. And don't forget, you can get your official I'm a Ho t-shirts at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
And they're only $15 for the month of December. So buy them for Christmas, kids.
Help support us.
Or buy them for your kids.
Yeah, your kids might be hoes.
I bought one for my mom.
Yeah, she don't need a t-shirt for that.
Wow.
Stump the Ho.
Stump the Ho. Each week, one of our hosts poses a trivia question to the remaining hosts and attempt to stump their fellow hoes. Hoes meaning Hollywood Outsider. This week, it is Justin's turn. Justin, what is your question?
All right, later on this episode, we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead. And as probably everyone who listens to this podcast knows, The Walking Dead is based on a comic book series. Out of the 20 characters that appeared on the television show in that original camp, only 10 of them were actually in the comic book. All the rest were made up for the TV show. Which of the following characters was not in the comic book? Was it A, Shane, B, Carol, C, Dale, or D, Daryl? Aaron, you go first.
I say Carol.
Okay, Scotty?
I say Carol as well.
And Brian?
Whatever. I'm just going to keep this shit interesting. I'm going to go with Daryl.
All right, there you go. We'll have the answer for this at the end of the show.
Now it's time for the big screen, where we talk about any movies that we've seen. We've got two big ones and then one soon-to-be on DVD title. Justin saw The Bay.
Yeah, I actually rented this using iTunes. They one of the things I really love about our modern technological culture is that quite a few movies will, before they're released theatrically or currently in theaters, they'll also offer them for home viewing on iTunes. And The Bay is one of those films. The other night I was just in a mood for horror, but I didn't want to rewatch anything I'd already seen, so I went through and looked, and I saw The Bay was available. I thought, well, shit, this looks kind of interesting. Let me give it a watch. The Bay is a horror thriller directed by Barry Levinson, and it premiered at the 2012 Toronto Film Festival. The plot of the story of this particular movie, that a seaside Chesapeake Bay town nestled in Maryland's eastern shore thrives on water. When two French researchers find a staggering level of toxicity in the water, they attempt to alert the mayor, but he refuses to create a panic. As a result, a deadly plague is unleashed, turning the people into hosts for a deadly mutant breed of parasite. The film is presented in a found footage style of format. It's not all from just one particular camera. It comes from a great number of cameras. It also tries to present itself, as these films usually do, as a real story. The main actress in it is someone that I've never seen before, but from watching her on the film, I really hope I see more of her. Her name is Heather Donahue, and she played a character named Donna Thompson, who is a reporter that is on the location just filming some newsreel B-roll for the 4th of July. She's one of those newbie anchors that they send out just to get the BS filler stuff. And while she's there, suddenly people start dying, and it's like they start getting these big, huge rashes on them, and she's trying to find out what's going on. The mayor isn't helping. There's all sorts of in-cuts of people from the CDC talking with a doctor who's trying to find out what's going on. Some police officers. Yeah, you get their dashboard cam footage of going out to a house and what happens there. It's an interestingly done film, and I liked the overall story they were telling, because it wasn't... I kind of kept waiting for the dead people to get up and start walking, because I'm so used to these sorts of films doing that, where whatever it is that's killed them turns them into a zombie or controls them or something. That doesn't happen in this film. The dead stay dead. But watching these people die, the special effects involved, and seeing all these different characters dealing with what's going on was interesting. And by the time the film was done, I enjoyed it. It felt occasionally like it was what do they call it? Where like it was done because somebody was mad about some bay they live close to, a polemic, against poultry farms, against people spilling shit into waterways that are used by others, and causing, those waterways to become poisoned, toxic, killing off the things living in it, harming the people involved, that whole fracking stuff. It had a bit of a feel of that, like they were trying to make a point. And so that took a little bit off of the fun edge of it. But all in all, it was one of the more interesting found footage type of movies that I've seen. And if I had to pay $1 or $10 to go see it in the theater, I'd probably pay a good $6. And I mean that in a kind way. It's not the best film of this kind I've ever seen, but it was interesting. And I like the story and learning about these creatures and, how they were created, and that it wasn't a supernatural type of villain this time, but just us being stupid and creating our own problems. Do
you think it was a good use of Barry Levinson? I mean, because he's a very acclaimed director. I was actually kind of surprised he would take a stab at the found footage genre.
I am too, but what's interesting though with found footage is quite often I don't get a sense of the auteur. The director's hand seems much less apparent, because if it's shot with a camera, these cameras are normally held by people who aren't good at it or not experienced, so that it doesn't have that smooth quality, those sweeping crane camera type things. It's very much in the now, in the present, unpolished, and so the directors, aside from just directing the actors doing what they're doing, the camera work, I never really get a sense of them. Mm-hmm. So no, I never really got a sense of Barry Levinson being in charge of it, but it was good, and I liked a lot of the found footage things that they put in it.
Okay. Well, I saw The Collection. Now, for those that don't know, The Collection is actually a sequel. So when you see it, it's not a standalone movie. It's actually a sequel to a very small, low-budget horror movie that came out a couple years ago about a killer in the vein of Saw who basically breaks into a house, kidnaps a family, tortures them, and then kills them. In that film, Arkin is a guy that breaks into the house at the same time the killer's there, and basically has to decide if he wants to save the family or not. Well, this film, they try to amp it up a little bit. So what this story is about, and you actually don't have to see the first one to see this one, so you don't have to worry about it, but I'm just explaining it. There's basically been a series of brutal murders because the collector has taken his killing spree to epic heights in this small town, and people are scared shitless. So what do you do when you're scared shitless? You head out to an awesome party in an abandoned warehouse. That's what you do. That's what fun is. Elena, the daughter of apparently the richest man in this little unnamed town, gets dragged by some friends to this party where this mass murderer decides to kill hundreds at the same time. So no longer is he in the small scale, just in the small home with a little family. There's literally hundreds he wants to get in this warehouse and kill. He basically booby traps the entire place with torture devices. And in this probably 15-minute scene, he manages to eviscerate an entire nightclub. It's actually a fantastic horror scene, probably one of the coolest horror scenes I've ever seen, and it's utterly fucking ridiculous. No way in hell should this work, and at some point you'd think at least 20 or 30 people would get out alive. Not really, because he's that good. Elena manages to get away because she's the only one who's smart enough to run away from murder spikes. And she runs into a giant trunk. And when she opens it, she finds Arkin, who's the lone survivor from the original film that you don't need to really see. But they explain who he is in the opening credits. Collector catches Elena, and then Arkin, realizing he can't save her, jumps out a window and becomes the first survivor of this crazy fucker. Arkin's then hired by a mercenary who was hired by Elena's rich daddy to find the collector and save Elena. That's the whole plot. Arkin agrees because after everything he's endured, he wants this fucker dead. And I'm going to ignore the completely ignorant plot point here. That how Arkin finds the killer is one of the stupidest, most ridiculous plot points I've ever seen in any movie ever. Because if he just would have told the police this, the guy would have been caught 5 minutes into the movie. But instead, he decides to not tell them and then just wait until mercenaries ask him for his help, and then he goes and helps this guy. Whatever. Tell me that doesn't sound stupid.
I need more. I need to know what more it is, I guess.
He basically it's like the old everybody's seen that movie where the guy was kidnapped and counts on his hand or cuts into his hand. He basically cuts into his arm to know when to turn right, when to turn left, where to stop, that sort of thing. And then that's how he determines where the killer's hideout is.
Okay.
Because he cuts in his arm every time the van takes a right, or the van takes a left, or it hits a bump, or it does something like that. Basically carves in his arm. So he has like his own little map in his head. Uh-huh. That's how he finds the killer.
Does he know how many roads they passed before he turned left or turned right?
I have no idea, man. It's
charting speed?
It's the dumbest plot point ever. And the fact that he never mentions it to the police is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Don't ask him why he's got all these scars on his arms?
No, not really. I mean, he basically comes out of it and the mercenary's already there, and like, oh shit, hey, by the way, I need your help. Oh, well, here's this cool thing I got to find the killer that I never mentioned to the cops. Sure, I can find him. Whatever. I mean, if you're willing to overlook that, which is really hard to do, but he leads them anyway. He leads them there, and they get trapped, and he has to find a way out and to save the group and Elena in the process. Josh Stewart is the guy who plays Arkin. He played Arkin in the last movie too. I really like this guy. He was now, Brian. You saw The Collector. He was actually a really cool part of that movie. Would you agree?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, it was. I don't know. It was just kind of an interesting twist for the character.
Yeah, and because he's very conflicted because he wants to save his own ass but he also wants to save the family. And it's kind of the same thing here. He wants to save himself and he wants revenge, but he also wants to get the fuck out of there alive. The way the guy plays it, he's just a very good at playing a reluctant hero. He doesn't want to be a hero at all. He's got his own agenda. It just at certain moments, I mean, he just reacts, and it's not for heroic sakes. It's just he just reacts. Emma Fitzpatrick plays Elena, and honestly, I thought she did a very strong job in a pretty underwritten role. She basically plays the victim who refuses to be one, and you've seen this role in every horror movie ever made. The rest of the acting is DVD quality, nothing to get excited about. Director Marcus Dunstan's number one goal is gore in this one. This is very much a Saw type movie, unlike the original Collector. Now, Brian, you saw that. Would you agree that that's more of a suspense movie than it is a gore flick?
Yeah, it's more of a thriller, a little one of those. There is a few cringe moments in there, but for the most part, it is all about the suspense and the and the build up.
Yeah, this one takes it to the Saw route. I mean, it's all about the gore. There's body parts everywhere. At one point, they fall down a chute into a collection of body parts. I mean, it's totally, and not Saw 1 or 2, it's Saw 5, where they just took it to an extreme degree. I really love the nightclub opening because it was so ludicrous. It was almost cool. But then you see all these different body parts popping up and all these different torture devices, and it just seems so much like Saw that it just starts getting stupid. And so the movie lost me a lot in the middle, especially that plot point of getting there. Getting there was so fucking stupid. It's hard to even. It took me 20 minutes after they got there for me to start getting into the movie again because I was just so irritated with how ridiculous that plot point was. So the final verdict, I love the opening of the movie, really like Arkin in the movie, and the ending to the movie is probably one of the best endings to a horror movie. It's like what I've always wanted to happen in a horror movie, and finally it happens. Unfortunately, it's not that great a horror movie, so it's kind of wasted. But the endings kick ass. I love the ending. The beginning, the ending were awesome. If you cut out the middle, it would be one of the best horror movies ever. But unfortunately, you got hour in the middle that fucks everything up. The story's ridiculous, has more plot holes than a screen door. The middle section was nothing but gore. If all told, if $10 is the full price of admission, I give it $5 because of the beginning and the ending.
It's a weird time of year for that kind of movie. I'm not saying that.
I think they're trying to counter program, and it never works. Anytime you counter program horror, nobody wants to see a horror movie except me at Christmas time. And I wouldn't have wanted to see this if it wasn't a sequel.
I'm not saying it has to be Halloween season or something, but like November, December is just a weird time for a horror movie. Unless it's like Santa's Sleigh or something like that.
Silent Night.
Yeah.
And Justin, you saw Mass Effect Paragon Lost.
Yeah, I did. It was a special screening. There's a website that has a Facebook page called Geeks Unlimited of America. And the guy who runs it, I've written a couple of articles for them, and he knew that I was a Mass Effect fan, so he asked me if I would be interested in going to see an animated movie called Mass Effect Paragon Lost. It was going to have a special screening in Dallas. I said, sure, I'd love to see it. And so he set it up, gave me a ticket, and I went to go see it last week. It's put together, the film was produced by Funimation, who is known mostly for bringing anime over to the States like Dragon Ball Z, and that's how they've created a lot of their popularity. And so the film was directed by, I wish I had his name in front of me, unfortunately I don't, but he worked on films like Ghost in the Shell, Armitage, Appleseed, all great anime films. And so it has a good pedigree to it. And the weird thing, though, is that Mass Effect as a video game is very much a Western role-playing game. And for those people who play games, there is a pretty distinct difference between Western and Japanese. The same thing could be said about animated films. There is a pretty big difference between Western animated films and Japanese animated. So to take a very Western product, story, game, and then have it animated in a style far removed from it is a bit jarring. But once the film got going, you kind of forgot about those things. The film follows a character named Vega, who, for those who've played it, in Mass Effect 3 is one of the party members. In Mass Effect 3, there's a scene where your character Shepard talks with Vega, and he mentions this terrible thing that happened in his past that's caused him a lot of grief. This film is about that moment. And so you get to see what he was talking about, how all these people had to die so that he could find this info that was needed by the Alliance military. As a film, I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed it as a piece of extended universe Mass Effect fiction. There are a few things that go on in it that I would have thought would have should have been mentioned in the game. Some characters that were pretty big and important, they're never mentioned ever again. There are some other elements to it that aren't quite congruous with the Mass Effect universe that's already been established. But as an animated film, I enjoyed it. 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 5.5 or a 6. Not great, but if you are a Mass Effect fan, I do think you should see it. And if enough people do watch it, then they will make more. I would be curious to see where they take it.
Well, box office, it was the biggest November ever. Skyfall became the biggest Bond movie ever and spy film ever. Breaking Down Part 2 became the biggest Twilight movie worldwide ever. So people are still seeing movies. The ones that don't start Brad Pitt, anyway, because apparently Killing Them Softly opened with a pathetic $6.8 million. That is one of his worst openings ever. And The Collection, which opened only on like 1,400 screens, made $3.2 million, which is about what the original did. Which means the same thing that the original did, which is don't make a sequel to it. It was unnecessary. The first one didn't make that much money. I'm really shocked they made a sequel. Twilight Saga held strong, $17.4 million. It's at $250 million. Skyfall is holding on really strong, $16.5 million. It's already made $245 million. Before this one, there was never a Bond movie that made $200 million. Now, this one might make $300. So
wow.
Yeah, and Lincoln's doing really well. Lincoln, another $13.3 million. It's already made $83.5 million. It's going to break 100. Not many biopics make $100 million. So that's quite an accomplishment, actually.
December 14th, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. Now, for those who have been living under a rock, been living in a cave, don't quite know what we're talking about, The Hobbit is a book that was written by J.R.R. Tolkien and came out long before the Lord of the Rings was ever even thought of. It was written as a children's book, but it was so popular, so famous, that he wrote The Lord of the Rings to follow it up. This film series is going to be 3 films based not only on The Hobbit, but on ancillary stories that were told around it. And the reason for that is actually an interesting one. I had read an article where Peter Jackson was talking about that the project had originally been envisioned as 2 parts, but with all the extra things, they had to add 3. And the reason that they wanted to add so much to it is that Jackson said that there was a lot of things that happened in the movie that unfortunately that happened in the book, but they happen off the page. You just see Gandalf leave to go do things, and then a little while later he comes back. But what he does, where he's going, what those things are, you never get to see in the book. Well, in this film, he can actually give you those things. And so in the hopes of giving a bigger, broader story than that one book would have provided. The 3 films will be coming out on December's of this year, next year, and the year after that. They're The Unexpected Journey, which is this year. Next year will be The Desolation of Smaug. And then the last one is going to be called There and Back Again. Now, with this film, it's going to star Ian McKellen, who's going to be reprising his role as Gandalf. Martin Freeman's going to be playing Bilbo Baggins. Richard Armitage is going to be playing Thorin Oakenshield. And the name that we can't say enough around these parts, Benedict Cumberbatch will be playing the voice of Smaug. And several other characters or actors will be reprising their roles in this film, including Andy Serkis, Hugo Weaving, Cate Blanchett, Orlando Bloom, Elijah Wood, Ian Holm, and Christopher Lee. The film follows Bilbo Baggins, a curious young hobbit, as he journeys eastwards with the wizard Gandalf and a troop of 13 dwarves. Their goal is to reach the Lonely Mountain and reclaim a stolen treasure guarded by Smaug, a cruel and terrible dragon. The journey leads them from Bilbo's home in the Shire through Rivendell, an elven colony, and then into the Misty Mountains. There they must escape the goblin tunnels where Bilbo meets the creature that will change his life forever, Gollum. Seemingly by coincidence, Bilbo acquires a golden ring that was previously owned by Gollum. This ring, although unobtrusive, is a ring that holds unexpected and useful qualities by rendering its wearer invisible. As they continue eastward, the travelers eventually reach Mirkwood, the realm of the Sylvan Elves. Now, this film is obviously going to be seen by all 3 of us. So really, I can't direct this to one of our hosts in particular.
All 3 of us? There's 4 of us. You forgot Scott again.
Well, there's 3 of you. I wasn't including me in that. But yeah, all 4 of us will be seeing it. But Aaron, you're kind of the Bilbo to our dwarven troop. So let's have you go first and talk about your feelings regarding this movie.
We got to turn that music off because I feel like I'm in an Asian spa right now. And I keep waiting for happy ending, Mr. P.S.
That didn't sound fantasy enough?
Oh, it sounded definitely, but it also sounded like I'll be naked.
Yeah, but I
in the
think
other room.
your idea of fantasy and Aaron's idea of fantasy are 2 totally different things.
I don't think they're different at all. I really want to, obviously, I mean, everybody's stoked about it. I'm stoked about it. I do have concerns with the addition that he's putting into the story. The two movies, okay, made sense to me. Stretching that book into 3 movies, I'm reserving judgment because I can't wait to see it, obviously. But I am really concerned about all the fleshing out, because that, to me, sounds like a cash grab. If it wasn't Peter Jackson, I would automatically write this off, because that book is too small for 3 movies. But I also know the guy knows what he's doing. I have faith in him. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I really like that they got Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug. I don't know if they're really going to have him in this movie. I haven't heard for sure. And I really want to see the frame rate thing, because the 48 frames per second is a big thing. And from the reviews I've read, it's very jarring. And when you get it right, it looks fantastic. But it also is very, for anything that a special effect is not done 100% perfect in, it's very noticeable.
I've heard that a lot of the people that have seen it already in New Zealand at the premiere are saying that they're getting motion sickness pretty easily from it. So,
yeah, I'm really curious. I mean, obviously, I won't be able to see it in 48 frames per second, so it's not going to be played yet here, but Justin will be, and we're going to do a spoiler cast about it. So I'm really curious to see how that turns out. But the movie itself...
I'll let you know.
Yeah, you son of a bitch. But I'm really excited to see it. But I am concerned about how much is going to be too much. Because this movie's going to be... It's already almost 3 hours. Then you got 2 more movies after this. That book is really... It is not The Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry. It's a completely different concept. I get that he's fleshing it out, but I'm concerned about how much he's fleshing it out.
I don't care. I love it. Give me more. Make every one of them 4 hours. I don't care. Stretch it out as long as you want.
Are you concerned about anything he's adding or taking away?
No, I didn't read all of those books, so I don't know any better.
From what I understand, they're pulling a lot of material from the Silmarillion, and I'm not sure where else they're pulling it from, but they're just taking a lot of things that, like I said, were said to have happened, but the book never detailed, or the Hobbit never detailed what those things were. So, in a movie, that's not going to work. You can't just say with a character like Gandalf, let me go talk to the White Council, I'll be right back. And then never show what's discussed there, what they came to. In a film, you need to give a little bit more of that. So I'm curious about it. I really do want to see what these things look like. I think a lot of people are jumping the gun and assuming that it's going to be overly bloated and boring. I have higher hopes than that.
I like Lord of the Rings, but the length thing really does bother me. And don't pounce on me too hard, Justin, because they're great movies. Don't get me wrong, but if you can't sit down, I can't sit down and watch Two Towers front to back in one sitting. And not so much because I think anything's boring. There's just so much story going on that I can't seem to. I need a break halfway between that. I don't want to get that from The Hobbit. I'm worried I'm going to get that. Mm-hmm. That said, I think it looks fantastic, and the more I see the trailers, the more it's the only book in the series I've read, and I can't remember, and I kind of like that I'm going into it fresh again. The characterization it looks like another extension of the Lord of the Rings, which obviously it is. It looks great. I just the length bothers me a little bit.
Me too. Well, the original Hobbit was actually written for children.
Right.
I mean, it was written. It's not like the Lord of the Rings series. Mm-hmm. So people will say, "Oh, it's not really as close as you think they are," because it was written directly for children. It's a great book, but it's a very small book, and where Lord of the Rings is really elaborate and ridiculous, and it has its own language. I mean, it's got a lot more to it than The Hobbit did. And I have a hard time seeing how you make 3 movies out of that. I give the guy faith because, it took you on the journey before, so I'll give him credit where credit is due. But I am nervous.
It's one of my favorite trilogies of any movie. I trust him. He's got my full trust.
I trust him, or I wouldn't be going to see it.
I understand what Scott's saying. But I'm one of those guys that I can and have sat down and watched all 3 extended editions in a row. So I don't suffer from that inability to watch even just one of the films all the way through. I'll watch all 3 and spend 14 hours doing it.
Did you pee in a bucket? How the fuck did you do that? You just hike up a hose up to the chair and you just start pissing in it? No,
I mean, you stop occasionally and go to the bathroom, but no more than a few minute break. Those movies are hefty. The extended editions are incredibly long, but when you're a fan like me, a true geek to the bone, hardcore OG, you can do that shit. You train years to watch that. That's Iron Man movie watching right there. It ain't for the faint of heart or the rookies. I like long movies. I like a director that's willing to take his time and do up a movie like this right. There are certain films that I want to be fast, that I want to be quick and get to the point, not dilly-dally on the way. This is not one of those movies. He could spend as much time as he wants pushing that camera through Middle Earth. I'm there for the show. I'm not there just for a quick movie and have fun. I really want to luxuriate in that world. So I can't envision myself being angry at the runtime on this thing. December 14th, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey.
That's all of our picks of the week because it's the only fucking movie coming out.
Nobody else dares.
Yeah, nobody
it
else.
kind of wins by default.
I remember when Return of the King came out as the busiest I've ever seen the theater ever.
Really?
That I can remember. It took forever to get out of that parking lot. I will never forget that.
I tell you what, it's a one movie where you better get the large everything so you can get your refills because damn, you're gonna be there a while.
Well, unfortunately, if you get that big Coke, you may be having to leave the movie intermission or not to go drain a little of that out.
I've got the Blu-rays for the Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking about popping them in for the extended editions and seeing about watching them.
How long are they each?
Like 4 hours.
Yeah, they're about. I think Return of the King is actually a little longer than 4.
Is there?
Yeah, it comes out to about 13, 14 hours.
Is it worth it? I mean, is there a lot of added stuff to it?
Have you never seen the extended editions?
I have never seen the extended ones. No.
What? All right, shut this shit down and go into your living room and start watching those movies. There is a lot added. All that shit ain't shots of trees and leaves and shit. They put a lot back into those movies. So
I'll find out.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, you can hear us on iTunes, Zune, Google, on your Stitcher radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any RSS feed, as well as Rockford College Radio Thursdays from 4 to 6.
What's this movie?
What's this movie? Each week we play ours or a listener suggested clip from a movie, and if you think you know what the clip is, you email us at feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com or send us a direct message on Twitter at @H_outsider, and we will announce those who got it correct on the air and give you a proper ho shout-out. Last week's answer was actually a listener, Dan M's. The Ref was the answer. Jesse M., only person who got it right.
Really?
Yeah. I love The Ref. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's so sweet and gentle, and it's a great one. This week it is Brian. Have you guys seen The Ref?
Yes.
I've seen it once.
Yep.
Who liked it? Justin obviously didn't like it if he's only seen it.
No, I
once.
liked it. I just never went back to it. It's one of those movies that I saw once, so that was cool, and then just kind of forgot about.
Kevin Spacey was so good in that movie. Just fantastic.
It was kind of like Kevin Spacey from the second half of American Beauty when he got balls, but that way through the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a great movie. This week it's Brian's turn, so if you think you know what this is, email us or twat us. Here you go.
I hate to say this, but this place is getting to me. I think I'm getting the fear.
Nonsense. We came here to find the American dream. Now that we're right in the vortex, you want to quit? You must realize, man, we found the main nerve.
That's what gives me the fear.
Look.
What?
There's 2 women fucking a polar bear.
Don't tell me those things.
All right, now we're on the TV and home video news. First things first, somehow, for some unknown fucking reason, The Killing is being brought back for a 3rd season. Let it fucking die.
I gotta agree. I gave up on the series after they got spoiled for me, granted. But how is this going to continue if they've already given away the killer? I mean, isn't that kind of the intrigue?
Let's start with a new death or a new murder, but who cares? The show's dead. Let it fucking die. It's done. Done.
The characters weren't interesting enough. They started out interesting in the first season, and then I just got bored with them, and I don't know why it's happening.
The thing I don't get, it's one of those shows that the ratings are low. I mean, anemic, not just low, anemic. There's a reason it got canceled. Some people write in, and granted, sometimes I understand why they do this. Firefly, shows like that, I get why they're writing in trying to save a show. I've seen the show. There's nothing to write in about. I mean, granted, I'm sure that has its fans, but hardly anybody watched it. It barely had 1 million viewers every week. That's why.
Just because you got AMC on it doesn't mean it's gold.
Yeah, and once they canceled the first season and they never wrapped it up, I get the public outrage for it. Hey, look, the whole premise of this is that was the marketing tagline, who killed Rosie Larson? Mm-hmm. And you don't finish the season with, who killed her? All right, well, now you're canceling it? hey, look, we invested all this time. Give us something else. Okay, but now they've done that. It's obviously, like you say, nobody's watching it. There's nothing redeeming about this. Now, the lady that plays the lead in it, the actress's name is Mariel Enos or something like that. She's a good actress, and I think she's actually going to be in World War Z with Brad Pitt. So looks like her career is starting to take off. So I'm happy for her. The other guy that plays her partner is going to be RoboCop. Happy for him. Let them go on and do movies and stuff, and just put this motherfucking crap to bed.
Sometimes people need to learn to let their show go. I mean, sometimes it doesn't last. And there's a reason why it doesn't last.
So people are writing in asking for more, you're saying?
Yes. And I'm sure it's like the same guy over and over and over, because there's like 3 guys that want this thing. But it's one of those shows, just let it die. Television producer Marshall Horowitz, I think is his name, is adapting Hitlerland for TV, and it's a series based on the establishment of Hitler himself.
Yeah, this actually sounds very good. I'm not sure which channel this is going to end up on. I'm hoping it's something like HBO or maybe even Showtime. But yeah, Marshall Herskovitz.
Thank you.
So it's is the guy. It's basically kind of just explained as it's Berlin during the 20s and 30s, which is very modern. It's kind of really this everything that's new and hip, everything that's going on is going on in Berlin, and it's just about how basically they get Hitler into power, how the Nazi Party starts, how they can basically can create this hatred of the Jews. This just sounds fascinating because all we ever really know of Hitler is him standing up there in front of just thousands of people or troops or something screaming like a maniac. And we don't really know how did this evil person, how does he go from nobody, a struggling artist, to one of basically probably the most hated person of all time?
Well, yeah. And all of the youth of America, all they know is the 99999 YouTube videos. Right. That's all I know. I really think this is an interesting
What
concept.
has the founder of Godfather's Pizza got to do with this?
Nice. I think it's a great concept. I wish they would do it kind of like the Pacific or Band of Brothers, where they do an extended miniseries. That's how
that would be good.
I would love to see that, because I would love to see the rise and fall of Hitler, and told from the German perspective, not from World War II U.S. We kicked your ass perspective. I want to see Germany's perspective, because I want to see how the Nazi Party, how you started to buy into this. Because obviously there's something about the guy. You don't get that many millions of people following you for no reason.
Well, and that's what's kind of appealing about this is it's not exactly what you're looking for. It is what it is it's from the American witnesses of American witnesses of how he came to power. Mm-hmm. We're talking about journalists, we're talking about military attachés, ambassadors, family members of ambassadors, diplomats. It's coming from an American perspective, which kind of fixes the monkey wrench in the works as far as why is everybody talking in English if this is about something going on in Germany. This is really set up to be phenomenal if it's done right, if it gets enough money especially like for the settings, the costume, all that stuff. This has got a really big potential. I'm really excited about this one.
I'm interested in it too, but I think it needs a different name than the original source material, Hitlerland. I'm sorry.
You don't like Hitlerland?
That sounds like
Zombieland.
That sounds like a Mel Brooks thing. Seriously, that sounds like it's a comedy or something.
Well, maybe Hitler gets in a
agree.
bunch of hijinks or something.
That's what I mean. Is it if you're going to take it serious, then call it something else.
Double top. 999 tap.
999 tap. Well, we'll see what happens with that. That sounds very interesting, and I'd love to hear that perspective, because everything you see is like Saving Private Ryan style. I mean, that's all the movies you ever see is the World War II U.S. heroes, and I want to know more about Hitler. I don't want to know more about him because I find him, I respect the man or anything.
Right, exactly.
I just want to know.
Not necessarily because he's a hero type of figure, but all we've ever seen is, like I say, is him screaming, is and all this other stuff. But how did this guy go from being nobody to convincing millions of people that, hey, I'm the guy to lead us?
not hero, but you know.
What's that?
He went from a zero to not a hero, but something.
Jew killer, pretty much.
Jew killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. We always see him portrayed in one way, and it would be so interesting to watch how he got to be not only the way he is, but how the country fell for it and how they bought into it. Fascinating. I really hope this does succeed or comes out and they give it the treatment it deserves.
The Walking Dead, and we will talk about the finale after the show. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead and Sons of Anarchy after the credits at the end of the show because we don't want to spoil anything. So where outtakes normally are, that's where we're going to talk about it. Disney announced that it will now bring Disney classics as well as other Disney libraries to Netflix. This is a huge freaking win for Netflix after an awful year they've had.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I've been a pretty big critic of Netflix for a while. I mean, although I do subscribe, so I can't hate on them too much. But yeah, this is a big deal for Netflix. So that's just, and I'm glad, I'm happy for them because it's just going to give them more clout and hopefully kind of open the door to other companies.
I think it's huge. They've already had some Marvel movies on, and I think they were testing this out, trying to see what their output would be.
Iron Man 2 was on instant stream.
They've had an Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, a lot of the superhero ones. So for them to start putting more of their catalog in there, especially their classics, because Disney is extremely protective of Dumbo and Peter Pan. I mean, they only sell the DVDs and Blu-rays, and to have them available free for streaming, that's huge. That shows you where the world is going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's getting away from physical media, which is, you know, most of our dreams. So it's interesting to see where it's going to head from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad Disney didn't try and make their own streaming service. Because with the number of titles that they've got in their catalog, they could have easily have made their own Disney online service, but they didn't. And I'm so glad because I hate that fracturing of avenues of venues of getting your movies. I'm glad they went with something already established that so many people have, as opposed to making me get just one more app on my Apple TV or on my TV or my iPad.
First world problems.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, yeah.
I think they actually
Cry for me, would you?
They had a movie service. It just didn't work. I think they shut it down.
I didn't even know they had one, which probably goes to show you why they shut it down.
Let's go to DVD and Blu-ray, Scotty.
All right, we're talking about releases for December 11th. First, we talked about it earlier, Ted. That's the Seth MacFarlane comedy about the talking foul-mouthed teddy bear. We talked about that on episode 65. I thought more than me just reviewed it, but I gave it a 650. Next up, we've also got Ice Age, Pedophile Drift. Remember that episode? That was a good one.
You're welcome.
We talked about that on episode 54. Aaron gave it a $6 out of $10.
Because there were kids there.
And I like kids.
On episode 55, we also talked about The Bourne Legacy, which is also released that week. Aaron gave it a $6 out of 10, and Brian gave it a $7 out of 10.
I'd give it an 8. I actually rented this on iTunes. They've got these early digital releases. My wife and I rented it this weekend. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'll have to check that out. I really would like to see it. The other one was a little lesser-known movie called Backwards. It's a story of a competitive rower who misses the Olympics twice and settles with a coaching position at school instead. That sounds boring as hell.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
got James Van Der Beek in it, though, so for all you Dawson fans out there. Also, Futurama Volume 7 is out, as well as the HBO series Girls' first season is out.
Ooh, yeah. Hit me with that unknown shit. Flashback.
And with that, we'll move on to our flashback or DVD segment. This is where each week one of our hosts recommends a little-known or obscure film that we hope you'll give a chance. This week it's actually my turn, so you'll have to suffer through another 5 minutes with me.
Oh, shit.
But
I can't wait to hear how wrong you are.
I went with Justin's breaking rule of an older film, and I actually went with one that's only 7 years old as well. And it's 2005's The Island, which stars Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor. This is actually directed by Michael Bay, which when I first saw it, when I first picked it up, I thought it was going to be just a mindless action flick like I expect from Michael Bay, but I actually really liked it. Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor's characters live in this weird, almost I don't want to say utopian, but this weird facility where they're forced to live a perfectly healthy lifestyle, work mundane jobs, and everybody in the community just kind of goes about their day-to-day lives, and they're thrown in front of basically a lottery where if they win this lottery, they're taken to this magical place called the Island, and that's supposed to be a paradise. well, Ewan McGregor's character kind of questions his existence, starts poking his nose around where it doesn't belong, and there's this big reveal that their existence is not really what it says to be. Without giving it, I don't want to give it away too much because that really does get kind of interesting, and it actually does become more of an action film at that point. I think it's a really fun movie. I did not expect it to be entertaining. I expected it to just be mindless action, and I really liked it. Really liked it a lot. I can't recommend it enough. They also do something kind of interesting with Ewan McGregor's accent that I think is kind of clever. And I didn't expect too much. I went into it not expecting a whole lot, but I was pleasantly surprised. Nothing spectacular, but one I've gone back to several times to rewatch it and just had a good time. So that's The Island.
The Island.
Did you guys like it or?
Not really.
No? Man,
I thought it was Michael Bay's weakest movie.
Yeah.
I saw it once and kind of enjoyed it, but I never really went back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing you talk about it makes me think I should go back and see that again. And some people might not think a Michael Bay movie can be obscure, Aaron, but this one actually kind of is. I mean, it came out, a lot of people saw it, but because a lot of people considered it so weak, it never got that word of mouth that something like Transformers or Bad Boys got. So it's one of his lesser known.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a fantastic movie. It's not super great, but it's worth a look at. I had a good time with it. So,
well, Justin, let's get your Stump the Hoe answer.
All right. Once again, this question. Out of the 20 characters in the original camp of the Walking Dead television show, only 10 of them are actually in the comic book. Which of the following characters was not in the comic? Was it A, Shane, B, Carol, C, Dale, or D, Daryl? Aaron, you and Scotty both said B, Carol. Brian, you went with D, Daryl. Brian, I'm pretty much refusing to ever call on you again because you are lucking into fucking answers left, right, and center, and it's making you look smart, and you're just guessing. So this is a win for him. It is Daryl, but it don't count.
I actually was going to go with Daryl because I thought that made too much sense. I thought that would be, of course, the best character on the show is not the one in the comic book.
Yes, Daryl was not in the comics.
Interesting.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't written in the comics later, but no, he's not.
He should be as popular as he is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
shit. If Daryl dies, we riot. That's slogan. Okay, let's go from the outside in. This week, there's a recent Forbes article that named Eddie Murphy the most overpaid actor in acting today. And the question is, in this era of fantasy films, special effects, epics, trilogy, superhero flicks, all this stuff, is the modern movie star finally dead? I mean, there's still the Will Smiths of the world, but in terms of legitimate movie stars, guys that always open movies, the Tom Hanks, the Tom Cruise, Eddie Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio, those guys don't seem to guarantee shit anymore.
I don't think they're dead. I just think that the masses are more appreciative of the wow factors that we have with the special effects and that kind of thing. I mean, if people don't go to the movies to see, most people don't go to the movies anymore to see an actor's performance as much as they do to see what happens with their action hero or the big explosions on screen or what the special effects did or how the story goes. When movies first introduced, it was like, wow, I want to see how he delivers that character. Now we still have it because the Oscars are still there. We still got award nominees, but as you watch those, there are a lot movies that not as many people have seen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're an Oscar guy.
I'm not really. I'm confused.
There were so many like Best Actor nominees or from last year that I saw like one or two of the movies, and I'm the every guy on this show. You say that all the time. I'm not gonna go seek out to go see The Artist. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make that point to go see it. I'm gonna go see a movie that has a story that interests me, or that I want to go be blown away with the big sound and the big special effects and that kind of thing.
So you don't go see a movie because of an actor that's in it?
Not as much as I used to.
What's the reason for that? Because you're Joe moviegoer. Why did you stop doing it?
Why did I stop doing it?
Because I still do that. I see if there's an actor I really like, then I still go see it if his movie comes out.
See, I think I'm more associated with that. I like other movies that he's been in. I like the stories that surround it, and so like I kind of credit it to the actor, even though the actor didn't have anything to do with the writing or anything like that. It's like I like Tom Hanks movies, so I'm going to go see Tom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
I knew that was
Other
coming.
others can't deny. When it walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. I don't think the modern movie star is dead. I think you still got actors like a George Clooney. You've still got Tom Cruise. These guys, even though they will occasionally have a movie that doesn't blow the lid off the box office, they are still consistent enough draws that people will more often than not go to see them and enjoy what they see because these guys are good at what they do. I do think that there's so many actors now and so many films produced that, you know, it's not like the old days where a Humphrey Bogart only worked for, say, a Universal, you know, signed a contract for a certain number of films. And so you had a very limited pool of actors and a very limited pool of films. So they stood out more. Now you're deluged in your Channing Tatums and Matthew McConaughey's. They're all over the place. But Tom Cruise, George Clooney, some of those types of actors, they're still stars. Even Brad Pitt, even though his new movie is not making huge bank, he's still probably one of your most bankable actors. I don't think that the movie stars will ever completely disappear because we like celebrating people like that. I think they get a little lost amidst the others, but not that lost.
Do you think the more bankable they have gotten in the past, the worse the movies have gotten because they just sell out for the paycheck for a lot of these guys? And that's why their careers find out?
But not all. I think a lot of them have a lot more integrity than that. I don't think George Clooney does a movie unless he feels really it means something to him. It resonates. He's not going to just do one film for himself and then give the studio, you know, their piece of shit film and then go do his own film again. Everything he does, he seems to really care about. I like that. I don't really like it when actors will do the hard-hitting Academy Award winner and then slough off and do a couple just to, you know.
Right, but he's one of the few though that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's one of the few that can pick and choose to something that maybe resonates more with him, or maybe a message he wants to send this time around, or whatever. He can pick and choose. There's a lot of them that they may get that movie, let's say to do that big blockbuster, you know, Battleship, for instance, or something like that. But they might have to sign on for a 4-movie contract to where they're going to have to do the shit studio film that they're like, okay, well, we've got this up and coming director. This is a good. We think this story will do well. We're going to cram, you know, Ryan Gosling in here just because we want to make some money, and so he's kind of forced to do something like that.
Go do the Tooth Fairy.
Right. Yeah.
Well, those days seem to be gone because, you know, back in the 80s, 90s, you know, you'd have an actor that had if once they got a franchise, they were officially a bankable actor. I mean, you know, Will Smith, when he got Men in Black, he became a bankable actor. Like, he would do a movie in between those, and that movie would be almost guaranteed to make money because people wanted to see the Will Smith movie. Mm-hmm. Now it seems like people want to see the Lord of the Rings. Like, they're actually going more for the movie as opposed to the actor. You know, where you've got like Chris Hemsworth, you know, you put him in Thor, he's huge, or Snow White, these big action epics, but you put him in something smaller, it doesn't open well because actors aren't as bankable. It's more the movie itself that has become bankable.
Is that a bad thing, though?
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I mean, you know, generations and generations and generations of movie stars, there don't seem to be that many left anymore. And a lot of the ones that are left are the guys that have been there for a long time, like the long-term ones. Mm-hmm. But even Tom Cruise, I mean, Tom Cruise got fired from Paramount 2 years ago because he's not considered bankable anymore. Mission Impossible was successful, but the other movies he's done haven't been Tom Cruise movies. They've actually been flops. Rock of Ages is a flop, and a lot of the other stuff he's done is flopped. So outside of the franchise films, he hasn't been that successful in the last few years, and he got fired from Paramount. That kind of stuff leads you to the concept that maybe the movie stars are dying. People aren't going to the movies. They don't want to spend that kind of money just on a name anymore. You know, now they want something back for their buck.
I mean, but part of that though is in this age that we live in, where we've got access to people 24/7. You know, the years ago, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, and into the 80s, where the only way you could see that person was in the movies.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
You're not now. Everybody's tweeting. There's Facebook. There's all these celebrity sites all over the place that's tracking everybody's every move. I don't care that Justin Timberlake is pushing a kid down the street. I just don't care.
People
But isn't
do,
he
though.
cute? Isn't he just like us?
Yeah, but that's what we're constantly inundated with these types of images with all the big stars that are in their daily lives, and we all, I guess, in a way, we all want to see them being normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
but
we do and we don't.
but that also kills that image that we have in our heads of these Gary Coopers, Humphrey Bogarts, and all these other big name actors. But I don't know. I guess, I've never really, until this, we were talking about this, I never really put much thought into it, but you're kind of right. I guess maybe they are kind of dying off in a way. I mean, Clooney to me is about the last one that's around.
Well, true. And where does Clooney live? He bought a goddamn island out in Italy. So, hell, he's out there, sleeping with every other hot girl that walks through the villa. So he's not on TMZ all the time. He's not constantly in the tabloids, getting seen buying a Starbucks because he's just like us, or walking his dog because he's just like us. He has been able to create this air or this persona
Mystique.
of Hollywood royalty, of a movie star. And I don't know if he's done it on purpose or if it's just somehow generated off of him just not wanting to be followed around by the typical Hollywood paparazzi. But he's really one of the few who still kind of has that air. But yeah, I completely agree with Brian. Seeing these guys constantly on every other site doing the most inane, boring things kind of kills the magic a little bit. It's like, oh, you're really not Thor. You're Thor, don't take out the trash.
That's
Yeah.
true. Well, let's go to recasting the classics. Let's put some new cast.
Don't sound so excited to go to the next, topic there.
I am very
Yeah,
excited.
our new popular
Well,
topic. David.
let's go to recasting the classics.
I'm
now that
sorry.
all of my movie stars are dead.
They are dead. They're all dead. I want my movie stars back. Oh, bring back the magic. Justin, recast the next classic.
All right, well, recasting the classics is our new segment. It's where we take a film, an old film, a classic film, hand it to one of our hosts, give them 5 characters in that movie, and ask them to recast it with modern day actors. They can go as far afield as they want, gender, ethnicity. They just have to be able to explain why. This week, Scott completely fucked things up and didn't go round table like I thought we were all going to do. He turned it around and he gave Brian Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He wants Brian to recast Ferris, Sloane, Cameron, Principal Rooney, and Jeannie Bueller. So, Brian, recast this classic.
All right. Well, we'll start with the big one, Ferris Bueller. You kind of need a guy he's kind of an average guy, a little bit charming, maybe a little bit quirky, but he's just got to be likable by everybody. I'm going with Colin Hanks.
Oh, God, good choice.
That is good.
I just,
Perfect.
I never would have thought of it, but that's brilliant. All right, you're done. That's
just stopping right here.
You should have
Game
finished
over.
with that one, definitely.
win.
So next we'll go with Sloane, and I had a few ideas there, but the girl I'm going with is a girl that's a little bit, because Sloane was a little bit, she had a little hint of exotic to her.
Yes, she did.
Maybe it was accent or something, I don't know, and I'm going with a girl that actually played a character by the same name, Sloane, in Entourage, and that's Emmanuel Shariki.
Oh, I love her. I
Not
love
bad.
her. Wow.
So,
yeah.
Next is Ferris's good friend Cameron. You need a guy that's he's kind of goofy, a little bit nerdy, but also a little bit likable. I wanted to go with John Heder who played Napoleon Dynamite, but I said, nah. Last second, I changed it to DJ Qualls, the real skinny,
Oh, shit, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
kind of
new guy.
bug-eyed, skinny guy there. So
I think
it's been a lot of.
that's a shitty one, but go ahead.
He's on Supernatural. It's
Oh,
a good pick.
well, that makes him great then.
No, he was also on Hustle and Flow, and he killed it.
He's also
Yeah.
about 40 years old at this point. He shouldn't be playing Cameron.
He looks young, though, man.
He doesn't. I don't like that pick. But I like the other two. The other two are fantastic.
Oh, Aaron's wrong once again. No shot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So for Principal Rooney, looking, this guy's he's got to be kind of mean. He's got to have that villain look.
You need to be a pedophile.
It's not required.
Unfortunately, Aaron doesn't have his SAG card, so.
Oh, jeez.
So instead, I'm going to go with Alan Rickman.
Oh, that's good.
Different.
I just like Alan Rickman. That's all.
Put him in everything.
I can just hear him.
the
I can just hear
glass.
him. I can just hear him in that voice saying Bueller. And last is what was it? Jeannie was his sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with Kristen Bell.
Oh yeah.
Not bad. Not bad.
She can play the kind of crazy, neurotic, a little bit role, I think, pretty well. Well, what I'm going to do is pass this one off to Justin. You, at the deep core, are a sci-fi guy, and maybe not even deep core. You're just an all-around sci-fi guy.
It's pretty shallow. Yeah, it's pretty shallow.
Right, exactly. So one of my favorite science fiction action movies, Armageddon.
Oh.
Recast, Harry Big Nut Stamper, AJ Frost, Grace Stamper, Chick, and Colonel Willie Sharp.
We'll hear those next week. Now let's go into emails. Justin, you get to go first.
Yay, I like going first. Hello, gentlemen. I'm a new listener to your podcast. While listening to episode 70 that discusses seeking a friend for the end of the world, I wanted to share a movie that sounds a lot like it, but hasn't been but hasn't been linked to that I've seen anywhere, so it may be simply coincidence. I have yet to see Seeking, but for those who liked it, you may want to catch the British movie Last Night, a 1998 movie starring Sandra Oh, Don McKellar, and a cameo role by David Cronenberg. The movie takes place after the world has the news that the world is going to end in 6 hours. By the time the movie actually starts rolling, there's nothing they can do, simply is what it is, and they don't say why. It's tagged as a comedy, though it's dark. It has some of what you had described from Seeking, people who still go to work, a man planning a concert, looting parties, and some sexual fantasy bucket lists, etc. Definitely check it out. I'm sure they're not exactly the same, but it sounds as though they're similar enough that you might enjoy it. I found it on Netflix streaming a few months ago, and while it was a somber comedy, it was actually really good. I'll catch Seeking soon to also draw my own conclusions, but would be interested to know what you think. And that was from Zero Fever. Sorry.
Zero Forever.
Zero Forever.
And I will be
Zero
checking that
Fever.
one out this week, so I'll have feedback on that next week.
Yeah, Scott's checking it out.
You know, if the world was ending in 6 hours, we would all just be buried in a big jizz fest.
Jesus Christ.
That is all it would be. I am sorry.
All right.
6 hours left. Bam. Let's get this done. I ain't podcasting.
Oh, so you wouldn't do a Bible study?
No, I would not.
Let's pray. All right. Hi, guys. Once again, Justin is on par with his movie acumen. Fuck off. Christmas Story is a great holiday film. What? What? Everyone, even Aaron, that's myself, can relate to the characters and situations in this story. I disagree. I cannot. We all had the kinds of a group of friends that did crazy stuff together with a little brother in tow. No, I didn't.
She grew up in Deerville.
Yeah, it just wasn't loved. We all have bully stories and overcoming those bullies in one way or another. Nope, I think it was the bully. And who didn't have at least one
You relate to
Santa in a department store who was I wasn't a bully. Who was less than jolly when we detailed our list of gifts. While I never wanted a Red Ryder BB gun, I did want a chemistry set and was told year after year that I'd burn the house down. I think I literally did burn a house down, but that's beside neither here nor there. And though I never ate Christmas dinner in a Chinese restaurant, I have my fair share of messed up family meals that I still laugh about to this day. The same arguments can be made for Christmas Vacation. Yes, the situations and characters are over the top, but they are personifications of our everyday lives. They may never win an Oscar or accolades, but they make me laugh every time I watch them. I can't wait to watch them again this holiday season. Thanks, Dan. Dan, I'm not knocking anybody that likes it. Brian and I both acknowledge that everybody seems to love it. We're obviously in the minority. I just don't think it's funny. He didn't think it's funny. I'm not knocking anybody that does, so I'm glad you like it. I just don't want to watch that shit 24 hours a day, ever. So, but I'm glad you like it. I really am.
I don't want to watch it 24 hours a day.
I don't want to watch it the 2 hours it takes. I just, no desire. Brian.
All right. But first, if I may make a holiday film recommendation, please, if you can find it, check out A Midnight Clear. A beautiful little film with a great cast. Came out in the early 90s. To summarize it, late 1944, American and German soldiers put aside the war for Christmas. Sounds all cheesy and Hallmark Channel movie of the week, but I know it's not. But it's not. Trust me. This is my got to see it every Christmas season movie. I don't know many folks who have seen this film, so I'd be tickled pink to hear that at least one of you or your listeners has seen it and enjoyed it too. Happy birthday, Justin. I'm very much looking forward to purchasing my copy of A Minor Magic. It's funny how she gets it right, but Aaron doesn't. That part was edited by me. By the way, Sue didn't write that. So I hope it sells like hotcakes. That said, I hope my well wishes on the novel excuse me from Justin's pod wrath, trademark. When I cast a double thumbs down, please pass the barf bag. I'm going to hurl vote on A Christmas Story. Ick, just ick. Later, dudes. Sue.
Yeah. There you go.
buy my book, you can say what you want.
Love me some Sue. And I have actually seen A Midnight Clear. It is a very good movie. And it's got I think Peter Berg was in it, Gary Sinise. There's also another version. I think that story, while that story is fiction, I think it is based on an actual occurrence between the French and the Germans, if I'm not mistaken, where they actually did put down their guns for Christmas Day and basically joined, drank, shared whatever little food they had and stuff. There is a French movie. It's called Joyeux Noël. That's, if you want a different version of that same story, it's very good. Check that out.
There's also a song based on it, too. A country song.
Isn't there always? There's always a country song. Sounds
Did
Garth
a
Brooks.
dog die?
yes, and the home ran away. One more email that I forgot to put on the format. Pretty funny. I was reading this article, which was about Hugh Jackman and Wolverine joining X-Men Days of Future Past, which we were talking about possibility of. Mm-hmm. He actually did. He is in the negotiations for it to happen. She said, I was reading this article right as you guys were speculating as to whether Wolverine will be in Days of Future Past. Apparently, speculate and you shall receive. So we're all speculating that we're going to become millionaires and win the Powerball. Or Justin's book sells and he wants to share the profits. Now, I said speculating. Now, if we can just get an answer on who Benedict Cumberbatch will be playing in the new Star Trek movie, I would like to know that too. Are any of you guys going to see The Hobbit in IMAX on December 14th for the 9-minute Star Trek preview? Justin?
I'm going to go see it for the fucking Hobbit. That's just the cherry on top.
There you go. If they do have that preview here, I will be checking that out. Also, the movie clip is from The Ref, and that's my favorite, or my family's holiday movie. Thank you, Jesse, because that's how it should be. The Ref is fantastic. Keep up the great work, Jess. Oh, and I forgot, thumbs up on Christmas Story. Be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
That's right.
Blah.
A crummy commercial?
Anyway. Okay, you can always find us on thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Make sure you stay through the credits. We're going to talk about what are we talking about? Walking Dead and Sons of Anarchy. So Scott will be leaving us because he can't stay current on any shows. But we'll spoil it for him. We hope he listens to it. Email us at feedback at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Tell your friends. Subscribe on Zune, iTunes, Google Reader. Listen on your Stitcher Radio app. Give us a thumbs up if you do, or any plain old RSS feed, as well as RockfordCollegeRadio.com Thursdays from 4 to 6. Brian, Justin, Scott, we're going to do it quick this time. Thanks, you guys, for being here. Appreciate you every week coming out. And A Minor Magic will be hitting stores or Amazon. What day?
December 17th.
And you can pre-order now. The link will be in the show notes, so if you listen to this, the link is there. Order Justin's book.
Please order it. Please.
Yes, please. And
Buy two. Make a great stocking stuffer. I guarantee. You'll live longer. You'll look prettier. And you'll be smarter for it.
You'll look prettier? Really? You get more attractive the more you listen to Justin McCumber's book?
Or read it, whichever. Just consuming my words improves your life immeasurably in so many ways.
Okay, next week we'll have more reviews, more news, a new From the Outside In topic, and more on the next Hollywood Outsider. So the next time you go to the theater, buy popcorn.
All right, we'll get Walking Dead out of the way, and then cast off the last of the dead weight, and you and I can talk about Sons.
That's right.
No, I'm leaving before The Walking Dead, too.
I already said the other dead weight. I meant Brian.
You were the first of the dead weight.
That make you were the dead weight gone.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for clearing that up for him.
Fuck. It's bad when the dead weight's got to explain it to the dead weight.
Oh, did you see the T-shirt that Tyler There's a picture of a T-shirt Tyler posted on Facebook.
Fucking change the subject, you motherfucker.
They'll find something else.
Scott, if you fucking cry, I'll kick you in the balls. He didn't say you had his balls, but you are attacking his balls.
You were coming for them.
You said coming. And
I've never said I hate dick and fart jokes.
I
I
did.
live
Just
dick and
me.
fart jokes.
Just me.
dude, that's 90% of my fucking humor.
That's my jam.
That's true.
That's my jam.
Hey. Let's tone down the hyperbole a little bit.
Hyper what?
Over what? Is that a time machine?
Dude, I went to that
I think Scotty's a lawbreaker.
Yeah, you heard him do the and just hold it for a second. Like, I know as soon as I inhale, somebody's going to speak up.
That's kind of.
So I'm going to hold it for another second or two just to see who jumps in there. But I waited you out, bitch. I waited you out. You're hiding in that barn, and I set that motherfucker on fire just to draw you out.
Okay, now if you're listening from this point forward, we're going to have spoilers on Walking Dead and Sons of Anarchy. So don't listen anymore if you haven't seen the mid-season finale of Walking Dead and the season finale of Sons. Walking Dead is first because me, Justin, and Brian have all seen it. What did you guys think? Are you excited for the next 8 episodes?
Oh, fuck yes.
What'd you think of the Michonne fight?
She should have kicked his ass.
Why is he alive?
Apparently, an ice, a glass shiv to the brain doesn't quite have the impact it used to. But I swear, when she smashed his face, and then grabbed that piece of glass and shoved it in his eye, I just about came out of my chair. It was awesome.
I really loved when she stabbed his kid. I did not see that moment coming. I mean, I thought maybe, but I thought she'd let the kid go and just, I see I see humanity in and instead she just fucking killed that kid. I couldn't stop laughing.
I actually kind of felt bad for the governor, to tell you the truth, because the daughter actually did seem to have something in her change. I mean, it was really well played, and I could see now in that moment why he kept trying to find that in her, and he finally kind of found it, had a little bit of hope, and then done.
Yeah, they gave you that just little sliver that, well, there might be a little bit of hope for this little girl, but yeah, that was obviously quickly taken away with a big katana through the neck.
Oh, God, that was great. That was intense. And the moment everybody was waiting for was Daryl and Merle finally meeting up. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, obviously, they met up. They caught Daryl. I think the governor actually believes that Merle set this up based on, because Merle told him that Michonne was dead. Obviously, they're not going to die because, they were in the previews for the future. But how do you think they're going to get out of this?
I don't quite know why Merle didn't immediately call bullshit on what the governor was saying. I mean, he's in the center of this crowd being accused of something that he didn't do. But he didn't say anything in his own defense. He just kind of stood there and let the governor say whatever he was going to say. I could see why, as a writer, you'd kind of have to keep him quiet, because if he did open his mouth, then all of a sudden you've got this long argument that just really doesn't have a place in the story. But as a piece of logic, it doesn't make sense that if I'm accused of something I didn't do, I'm just going to stand there and let them say it. I would defend myself. But I don't know. Maybe this will be what brings Merle to the side of the good guys, quote unquote. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get out of it. Maybe they'll somebody that they didn't show too much, that we really didn't see too much. We kind of forgot about. Maybe they lead a horde of zombies and interrupts the the duel or what have you, and they both get away. and then of course, then even if they do both get out, then you've got that dynamic where Merle is just basically an asshole, and who's always kind of held what appears to have kind of always held down Daryl, but yet Daryl's kind of become his own man, and he's kind of Rick's right hand man, so he's going to have that conflict with Merle. So, man, I don't know. This is just awesome. They just do such a good job of building up that tension and that pressure, and just going, what the heck is going to happen next? And then they throw something in there that catches you off guard. Man, these guys are they're phenomenal. And I don't know, I'm not really missing Frank Darabont at all at this point.
No, I'm not either. I'm actually kind of surprised. His presence really hasn't seemed to impact I think the third season is probably the best season so far.
Were you guys kind of waiting for Glenn to pull a Black Widow and just kind of flip over in that chair and break it apart?
Kind
I
of.
was like, she did it. She just flipped over and it shattered into pieces. Why is he not doing that?
That killing the zombie thing, breaking out of the chair and killing that zombie.
Oh, it was gross.
But fucking awesome. Go Glenn. When did you become a badass?
Making a bone shiv.
Oh, and the episode before that where the governor made her strip, and that was just so creepy. But
my question has more to do with Andrea, because now she's seen just how fucked up the mayor is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a room full of aquarium zombie heads and had been keeping this zombified daughter in a closet. So now she's aware of all the fucked up shit we've been seeing, yet she kind of held him like, I can deal with this. And I'll be interested to see how her character progresses from here. Will she maintain the sympathy? Will she wake up and go, this guy's buckfuck crazy, I got to get out of here? I don't know. I'm curious to find out, though.
I'm getting kind of tired of her. She's kind of to me, she's kind of working her way towards that Lori category.
Oh, yeah. She's getting to where I can't understand her actions anymore. Her actions make no sense anymore. She keeps banging guys that are fucking batshit crazy and causing problems, and doesn't seem to see it. And I don't understand. Michonne comes back. You find this dead zombie kid laying on the floor. You see a bunch of heads with zombies, and you buy all the bullshit he says. Now you see Daryl show up, and you're automatically just. I'm hoping, she sees him for what he is now, but I didn't see anything to indicate that either, and I'm starting to get irritated.
Here's my thing.
I like her.
Here's my thing. Michonne saved me, nursed me back to life, has kept me alive for the last 8 or 9 months, however long it's been since the episode at the house, at the end of that other season. So we're in this little utopian little village type of thing, and now Michonne says, you know what, something's not right. We've got to leave now. We've got to get out of here. This is wrong. There's something going on. Wouldn't you trust her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get this real vibe, though, from Michonne that her feelings toward Andrea are more than friendship. And I think Andrea kind of picks up on that. I think she's been trying to distance herself from Michonne, and now this community of people gives her a way to do that. And Michelle's constant insistence of pulling her out and going back for her, to me, kind of speaks to love, and not just, hey, you're my buddy, but more, I love you, we need to get out of here. And I could be making this up whole cloth, but that's the vibe that I and my wife get.
Well, I get more of a, if I was getting any kind of, suspicions as far as between one and the other, that Michonne just obviously has a problem with trust, and that, and that.
Well, she's got problems aplenty.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's quite a list of issues that girl's got. but what's her name? Is that her name, Andrea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Andrea, I think, is wanting to trust. She's like, okay, this is, they're doing something right. We can trust them. And Michonne, she recognizes that Michonne has trust issues and just can't stay in one place long enough, but is trying to convince her. I don't look at it as more of a, maybe there is a certain amount of love, but I don't think it's so much that. I think it's just the fact that she's blind, as you pointed out, that she makes very bad choices, that Andrea is just blind to the possibility that anything bad can be going on, but yet Michonne sees it, or if she doesn't see it, she at least senses it. So she's trying to just, she's got good instincts as far as when bad stuff is about to happen or what have you. So, and I just think Andrea doesn't see that. She just thinks that she's like, look, you got to learn to trust some people more. Stick around a little bit longer. And Michonne is going, nah, not really. There's something really bad going on here, and we got to get out. And that's where I think Andrea is basically, that's where it kind of gets on my nerves. Like, you've kept me alive for the last 8 or 9 months. All right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's pack our shit and get out of here. But
did you see the look on her face when Daryl was unveiled in front of everybody?
Yeah, she was in shock. Like, oh, you fucker, you're alive?
I think she's mad. I think she feels betrayed that these people survived and never looked for her, never came for her, never tried to find her. I think she's going to feel betrayed, and I think this is going to continue to push her towards the governor. Because here's a guy who's given her shelter and, a place to lay her head. And,
yeah.
Well,
Jesus.
But I do think I would like to see her go in a direction of almost a villain. I love seeing good people going to bad ends because of either misinformation or just human failings and emotion. But I think she's going to have a lot of anger now towards Rick and his group.
I just can't wait for the one-eyed Liam Neeson to get his comeuppance. That's that will be a good episode.
Well, did you know Tom Savini tried to get that role, or had originally been thought of for the role of the governor? Yeah, I'm glad he didn't get it because he's an icon for what he's done in the film industry with zombie films, but he can't act for shit.
No, this guy's doing a good job. Even though sometimes he reminds me of Liam Neeson, he's doing a good job. And I like what he's doing.
I mean, I could be totally off base here, but one of the guys that's one of the producers, I want to say his first name is Dan, but I know his last name is Nicotero or something like that.
Yeah, he was with
Wasn't he like a special effects artist or something?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, NKG or something. He worked on From Dusk Till Dawn and a lot of those movies. Right.
Yeah, that's where I thought I remembered his name was from some of the behind the scenes stuff where Robert Rodriguez does a lot with the effects and kind of shows you how they made some of the gross stuff. And I remember him being in that. That's why I kind of pointed that out. And I guess maybe that was his tie-in with Savini. So.
It just never fails. Every time my wife and I watch The Walking Dead, it always seems to be the time when we're eating. And it's not 2 minutes into every episode. I'm like, oh God, why am I trying to eat? Somebody get their shit bit off.
You're ripping off that chicken leg and, and all of a sudden,
I'm not hungry anymore.
He's ripping off a zombie arm going, here's a shiv.
But it is good. I like the prison. I like that they've kept the pace pretty tight. It does feel a lot more well-paced and action-packed than season 2 was. And I'm really happy with it. I cannot wait to see where they go with it next.
Now, from what you guys have read of the comic books, does this other group that's migrated into this other side of the prison, is this kind of staying true to the comics or some of those characters?
No. Now, the tall black guy, Tyrese.
Yeah, Tyrese is a big popular character.
He's a big character in the comic books, but he's been a part of the party for a while. So as soon as I saw him pop up on screen, I knew exactly who he was playing. But that other group coming into the prison never happened.
Okay. We'll see, and that kind of goes back to what we were talking earlier, where now these differences between the books and the shows, it kind of makes you okay. I want more, so it's going to be a little while. I'll go buy the comic books, and you're reading it for the first time, and you're getting a whole new story, and you're just feeding that zombie cravings. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome.
Okay, well now we're going to talk Sons, and Brian's going to depart because he hasn't actually seen this yet. So.
I bid you guys adieu.
Adieu. Okay, Justin, you and I, apparently we're the only ones that likes to stay current on Sons of Anarchy. Sam Crow had its season finale. We're not going to see it again until next fucking summer, I guess, next August. What'd you think?
As a final episode, it didn't have the big impact that I felt like previous season enders have had. But I liked a lot of the resolution. I loved that the whole Pope thing ended the way that it did, that Tig didn't have to die for what he had done, that Jax was able to use that as a way of getting Pope out of the way, of handling the Tig issue. Jax really came off as much more of a Machiavellian type character than I would have thought him capable of. And that kind of makes me a little sad for him as a character, because I so want him to be able to get out of Sam Crow, get away from Charming, and move on with his wife and children to a normal life. But I don't think Jax Teller is destined for a normal life. And, now with his wife being arrested, seemingly at the hands of Gemma, turning her in, there's some bad shit coming. But all in all, this season I really enjoyed. The only thing I left unsatisfied with was any closure to the Clay story. I really thought the closing moment of the show would be him being killed in the back of that police van or whatever. The fact that he's still alive kind of irks me a little bit. I would like some closure on that.
Oh, I don't think they're going to kill him for a while, man.
I don't think they're going to, and that kind of annoys me.
He's the Darth Vader of the show.
But in a show like this, you can have a lot of Darth Vaders. You could have somebody come in and take that role, be the big villain. I feel like the will he die, will he not thing has been played far enough. This has been 5 seasons in the coming. I think they could have done it, and it would have been a really cool ending. But, hell, maybe next season they'll do something so badass with him that I'll be glad he's still alive.
Oh, I think he's going to somehow get out of it, because I think the Irish will probably get rid of the gun or something. And he's going to start a rival MC to take out Sam Crow. I think that's ultimately what his goal is going to be. And now he knows that his wife's against him. Jackson.
Oh, that was cold.
That was icy shit.
Do you think she knew that the police were coming to get him? Or do you think that it happened without her knowing it, but she saw that in that moment as her chance to break away?
No, I saw the whole thing. And I reflected back on the past episodes after it was over. And I think it was all laid out actually very well. The whole thing took me by surprise. Granted, the thing with Tig, I thought Tig was going to get away. I never for a second thought he was going to get killed, because he's honestly probably one of the most popular characters on the show. I thought what was going to happen, that he was going to go in the warehouse, he'd somehow escape, maybe kill Pope, maybe not, and know that Jax was a rat and basically go with Clay to Belfast. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. And instead, they actually did it really well, and Jax proved that, hey, he's not going to turn on yet another brother, and he's also not going to let Clay walk away. So he came up with a good plan. And if you reflect on the past few episodes, they've actually been setting this up with the gun that Juice found, with how he set up Tig and when he was going to do it. The thing with Gemma, and they just
I know
didn't.
Jack's been setting it up, but I wasn't sure if Gemma knew.
No, I think Gemma knew,
coming.
because I honestly thought that's why Gemma kept going back there and saying, "Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll leave with you." She was going to be there when the cop showed up. Okay. That was her whole plan, from what I gathered.
She looked kind of surprised, but that could just be her acting good for the police.
Oh, I think she was acting, because I think that's the whole reason she was there, was for that. Because she basically had Jimmy Smits waiting for her. Like, hey, let me handle this business, and then you and I we'll get back to it. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think, though, about him becoming the old gang member that he used to be? Are you feeling sympathy for him, or did they really establish him well enough for there to be sympathy at all?
I think they did I probably would disagree. I get what you're saying. I think they have ridden the whole is he going to die or is he not thing out. And I think they actually, my opinion, handled it decent. I like where they're going with it, where they made him, I actually had a moment where I sat there going, oh, poor Clay, he's getting fucked. Even with all the horrible shit he's done, I kept thinking, well, he had nothing to do with that. Well, bullshit. Even though I know it's his fault, all this stuff happened. Really. I mean, the whole thing started from him last season. Everything that happened was his fault. Tig reacted because of the lies Clay told. Opie died because of Clay. All this shit happened because of Clay. So he's got what's coming to him, but still they managed. I think it's Ron Perlman. He's such a good actor, for as ugly a fuck as he is, that he can somehow drum up some sympathy with the way he plays his character.
I'm tired of Clay. I'm ready for that to change and kind of move on.
What do you think happened with Tara? Do you think Gemma had anything to do with that, or do you think it's this new guy that's revenge on the sister?
That, I don't know. And what the fuck with Otto?
Yeah, the tongue.
Oh my God. I don't think I could ever bite my own tongue off. And for him to do that, I almost just lost it. But I think Gemma did it. I think she did it before she heard kind of the conversation between Jax and Nero about, getting out of this lifestyle and finding peace. I think she made that call practically as soon as she got out of, oh God, I cannot believe I just forgot her name and you just said it.
Tara, thank
you. When she got out of Tara's office. I think she's the one responsible for this. How that's going to be, paid next season, we'll have to see.
I'm not convinced. I think it might be the brother of the sister that was killed. Maybe he planted a bug in Tara's office and heard the Gemma Tara conversation. I think he had something to do with that arrest. I don't think, because I think there's no way Gemma or Jax doesn't find out that Gemma had something to do with it.
We'll have to see. But then again, Jax didn't look too pleased with Tara either.
That's true.
I mean, she was going to take those kids and she was going to leave. And in that last scene, as the episode closed out, what is it you see on that counter? As his wife is, pulled out of the house, that torn up but piece of legal paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
He tore that shit up. He wasn't signing it. I think their relationship is over.
You think so, huh?
I think she pushed it too hard. I think Jax is too in love with his power and the authority that he's gained. And I think she played her card and it turned up to be, a joker.
Ooh.
So we'll have to see. But one thing I did notice, though, my wife pointed it out too, the very last image we see of Gemma standing behind Jax with her hand on him.
Same one as before, as season 4.
Exactly. Well, season 5.
Or season 5. No, season 4. Last year.
Yeah, I thought last year was 5.
No, this is 5. Next year's 6.
Last season's final episode with Tara standing behind him, that same pose. So I like that kind of book ending, that imagery used over again.
Yeah, very, very cool. I can't wait till next year to see what happens.
Yeah, it's an awesome show.
It is. And now Bobby resigned as VP, which means Chibbs is probably going to be VP, which means we won't hear a fucking word, or we won't understand a single word that the VP says for the next season.
Jackie boy.
Yeah, that's all you can understand.
I like him. I like him quite a bit. He's one of my top 5 characters, easy.
Yeah, he's cool as hell. I still don't understand what the fuck he says, though.
I never have that problem, but he's a cool dude, and I would not be surprised to see him be given the VP badge.
He should be.
I'm kind of done with Bobby, too.
Yeah, I'm sick of his whining. You got a business to run, man. Let's stay on top of it.
Well, have you ever seen, how many cars does this garage actually service?
2. The same 2, over and over.
2 all the time.
Yep. And they didn't even have Hudson in the episode, really.
No, not until, kind of near the end.
Yeah. Hudson, he was hardly in there. I don't know what the hell happened, but apparently he's not relevant until next year.
Hey, I found the gun up here. Just happened to come across it.
Yeah. Come on here, guys. Guess what I found? Why'd you think to look there? I don't know.
Wow, Captain. You got the nose of a bloodhound up there.
Did you smell that gun? Oh, yeah. I heard the gunpowder. I could smell it from down there. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got to wonder, though, how much longer can the Hudson live? I mean, the dude's got cancer.
Yeah, he's not going to make it long. Okay, well, that'll wrap it up until next time, kids. So remember, next time you go to the theater, buy popcorn.